Namaskar. Welcome to this special conversation with Dr. Frank Morels, who is also addressed as Sri Dharma Pravartaka Acharya. And the introduction that I have for him also says that he is dedicated to restoring Sanatana Dharma as a global force. We'll find out what is it that he has chosen as his mission, why he has chosen that as a mission, and how much is his understanding of Sanatana Dharma in sync with what people say is there in the scriptures. So a lot of things there. Welcome, Dr. Frank.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Let us begin with your definition of Sanatana Dharma. What is it that you consider? Is it Hindu Dharma? It is different than Hindu Dharma? What is Sanatana Dharma?
Well, it is Hindu Dharma. Sanatana Dharma is synonymous with Hinduism. I personally prefer the term Sanatana Dharma to the word Hinduism, only because the word Hinduism, you don't find these in the Sanskrit literature. It's not indigenous to the religion itself. Rather, the term that you do find again and again repeatedly throughout the scriptures is Dharma. And the word Dharma in conjunction with different words, sometimes Vishva Dharma, sometimes Sanatana Dharma. And what's significant about this is that the term Sanatana Dharma is incredibly profound philosophically. What's meant by Sanatana Dharma very simply is, first, Sanatana means that which is eternal, that which always has been. And the word Dharma is actually very difficult to translate into English. Really, what you could say is it means natural law. The concept of Dharma is that inherent within the very structure of the cosmos itself, there are certain natural laws that are put in place by God. And if we ourselves live in accordance with that natural law, with that Dharma, then we ourselves personally, but also socially, have happiness, prosperity, fulfillment, etc. And if anything, many people have said that today, with all the problems that the world is facing today, everything from war to poverty to depression, just so many problems that we're facing, the very reason why is because we are not living in accordance with nature. We're not living in accordance with God's law, with Dharma. So yes, Sanatana Dharma is Hinduism.
You know, it's very interesting when you say that the natural laws laid down by God. Mm-hmm. Now, this is your understanding about the laws laid down by God. Mm-hmm. And somebody else who is looking at the world from a different point of view would say that, no, that law is not God's law. This is the God's law. Mm-hmm. So how do you reach to the point where you say that this is the standard or authentic law laid down by the God?
That's a very good question. What you're asking me is a question of epistemology, to use the technical term. In other words, it's the question, how do we know? How do we know anything? Because you're right, anyone can make any philosophical statement. Oh, such and such is the nature of the universe. Well, how do you know? Ultimately, the way that you can know spiritual or religious conclusions and what truly is siddhanta, what is actual truth, is not by debate, not by, my opinion versus your opinion versus someone else's opinion, but you go to authority. So in other words, let's say that I'm not a medical doctor. Let's say that I'm having a debate with someone else who's not a medical doctor about the proper way of doing brain surgery. Well, the person and I can disagree, but ultimately if we really want to know, we go to the authority. We go to a brain surgeon, someone who does know. And then that person's opinion should be conclusive, because that's what they've studied all of their life, and there is no higher source. In the same way, yes, there are diverse opinions as far as different spiritual questions. Ultimately, how do we know? You go to the source. Ultimately, of course, the source is God, but then it's difficult for us as human beings to communicate with God directly, so therefore, what do? We go to those human beings who have communicated with God, what in Sanatana Dharma are called the Rishis. The Rishis are individuals who have perfected themselves through yoga in such a way that their ego has completely dissolved, and quite literally, all that is there is God realization. People talk about the Rishis all the time. There's no Hindu who hasn't heard these terms, and we can even name a few of them. The truth of the matter is, when we think of the Rishis, unfortunately, many Hindus tend to think of the Rishis as these divine beings who are very far from us, not understanding that actually the Rishis were human beings at one point just like us. And through the process of yoga, meditation, bhakti, etc., what they do is they spiritually evolve to the point where ego is gone, and they become quite literally like clear, transparent mirrors to the spiritual world. You know, to give an example, when I try to explain what the Rishi is, what this spiritual authority is, you know, often when I'm giving a talk, there'll be, you know, off in the window there, and I'll tell people, now look, and I'll point to the window, what do you see? And let's say there's a tree on the other side. They'll say, oh, well, I see a tree. And I'll say, yes, that's true, there's a tree there, but look again, what do you see? And they'll just say again, well, there's a tree. And we'll do this several times, and then I'll finally tell them, yes, there's a tree, but do you also see the window? And then finally they'll get it. Oh, yes, I guess there is a window there, I just didn't think about it because I'm looking through the window. The Rishi, the spiritual authority, the saint, so to speak, is like that window. They're there. They have their existence. You know, you can tap the window. It's there. But the purpose that they serve is that we may see through them and see the spiritual realm. Quite literally, when the Rishi is there, when the true Guru is present, when you see that person, yes, you're seeing a person who's actually manifest there, but you also are experiencing God manifest through that individual. God is present. And when that Rishi speaks to you and gives you knowledge, you can know that that knowledge is quite literally just coming right through them. And that's how our scriptures are revealed, the Vedas and all the scriptures of Hinduism. This is why we consider them aparusheya. We consider them to not be man-made. Because the Rishis are not just kind of sitting there and speculating, oh, okay, what's the meaning of life?
I'm sorry, I'm just interrupting you
No,
because...
please.